Yeah.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Let's talk a little bit about Chris Detremont, or Chris Cross, as he's known in this channel. Now, for anybody who doesn't know about Chris Cross, well, he crossed the floor just over a week ago as the budget was approaching for the Liberals to announce essentially their downfall. How they were going to tax people into oblivion, how they were going to invest by spending more, however that works. They might as well have said build back better. I mean, I think that slogan at least had a little bit of poise to it, while investing by spending just, it doesn't ring any bells for me. It doesn't do anything, at least for the sheeple. Little Chris Cross crossed the floor. He left the Conservative Party less than 3 weeks after standing up in the House of Commons to state how he was going to fight for his constituents. He was going to fight to ensure that the Liberal government was put in check and to make sure that Canadians could once again afford food, afford their homes, afford a better lifestyle living under a common sense government. While he crossed the floor, many people called him a snake. In fact, that's going to be a reoccurring theme on this video as, now the RCMP is involved. Apparently, he's been getting some threats. Apparently, people have been saying, naughty, naughty, Chris. And just as a Liberal, as we've always seen with Liberals, well, their feelings get hurt whenever people use nasty words. Well, let's get into it right away. Shout out to Jason Levine for this very explanatory post. Jason's got a great show, by the way. You should go check him out on X. Tea and Coffee, I believe it is, every day. I was on his show with Jeff Raff just about 2 weeks ago. Fantastic program. Go check him out. Jason tweeting out, Chris Cross is certainly a snake, and if the CBC article is true, there are several more snakes in the Conservative Party of Canada. So what is going to come up here in this discussion is that essentially, this is how Mark Carney is going to gain his majority government. And for those who say, hey, Fringe, it hasn't happened yet, the budget's through, we're not going to see a majority government. It's happening. Mark Carney wants that majority government so that he doesn't have to go into the same checks and balances as he did with the budget. He doesn't have to please anybody. He doesn't have to negotiate anymore. It's just pass it all through while Canadians bend over and take the brunt of everything. In a tell-all interview with the CBC, Chris admitted that crossing the floor to the Liberals had nothing to do with fighting for his constituents or the Liberal Party's budget or path to being the best for the people of Canada or Arcady Annapolis, like he had first reported. It had to do with that he felt bullied, and he felt the Conservative Party was acting like, quote, a frat party versus a political party. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not sympathizing with you on this one. Leopards may not be able to change their spots, but snakes can quickly change direction, and that's dangerous. More evidence that Chris is a snake is he claims to be aware of, quote, 3 or 4 more Conservative Party members who are considering crossings. Now, I talked about this when we first reported Mark Carney was getting a Liberal majority government, that I've heard the same things. I talked to those on Parliament Hill. I talked to assistants. I talked to some MPs, not a ton, but there's a few that I keep close that I talk to on a semi-regular basis. And these were the rumors that I had heard as well. The NDP are the most susceptible because they're non-existent in party status. They're scrambling to figure out how they come back. And essentially when you dangle a carrot, a big enough carrot on a stick, and you involve deals that can make people a little more better off, it's very easy to convince one of them to cross the floor. But Chris making it well known that, of course, there's 3 or 4 more potential Conservative members that are thinking about crossing. If true, Jason says, he would have been slithering in the halls, sniffing out others like himself who are unhappy and would also turn their backs on voters. This is an important point that he brings up. If Chris Detremont, he didn't just decide one day, oh, they gave me a good deal, I'm going to pack up, I'm going to leave. This was something that was festering like an open wound for quite some time. He planned very carefully how he was orchestrating his exit. And this is why the people in his riding should feel burned. They raised money for him. They voted for him. They voted for a conservative to represent them in their riding. This is why I've said numerous times that if anybody wishes to cross the floor, you either have to hold another by-election and allow the people to decide, or it should be illegal to cross altogether. You should have to wait until the end of your term and then cross as a Liberal. You should run again for a re-election as a Liberal if that was the case. So he would have chatted with other Conservatives during this time to get a feel for how warm the water was, so to speak, on his exit. So if he's saying there's 3 or 4 more, that is highly, highly likely. It says here, it would have taken some time and he would have needed to be as discreet as possible in order to figure out his exit. As all snakes do, he would have also been searching for a warm place to end up. Conservatives with a party that's completely full of snakes would have also been ongoing for some time. Of course, they would be willing to accept one of their own in the snake pit, but like all snakes, getting the best deal for himself would have been his only focus. I agree with that statement. Timing the announcement on the day of the deficit spending was announced. It's a budget in name only. Was part of the deal. It gave the redirection the Liberals wanted, very, very calculated, and certainly came at a great cost. This is the same as Chrystia Freeland not supporting Justin Trudeau's budget and resigning. I believe it was the day before they were supposed to launch that budget. It's what triggered Justin Trudeau to have to call an election, or at least one of the building blocks towards it. So if Chris is calculatingly announcing his departure from the Conservatives the day of the deficit spending announcement, it's only going to motivate those who have the same interests to start talking a deal. Jason said, so what does this prove to all Canadians? At best, the Liberals gleefully welcome snakes into their party, and the Conservative Party has some as well. At worst, the entire place is full of snakes. I agree with that statement. What does this mean for Canada? The House of Commons is infested with snakes. They are tightening their grip, and they have never cared about voters. In short, Canada is captured. It's literally, it's each province for itself now, and I support Alberta's path towards real sovereignty. Of course, Liberal Party of Canada. I agree wholeheartedly. In fact, last week on the channel, in my live streams, everywhere, I said, I've been an advocate anytime an election comes around, and you can go back and watch my videos throughout the last federal election back in March and April. I told people numerous times, those who fought valiantly for our freedoms fought so that we would have a voice, so that we could vote. It's your duty as a Canadian citizen to cast your ballot, to make sure your voice is heard. Well, since then, I have retracted that statement over the past week and a bit, and I have said, look, I now recognize myself as an Albertan long before I consider myself a Canadian. I will cast my ballot provincially. I will cast my ballot municipally, where I feel my voice is actually heard and considered. Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney, and I've said this before as well, have wiped their ass with the Canadian flag and stomped all over it. As Jason points out here, there are many snakes in the House of Commons on both sides. And I think that that's easy to point out when you know that Chris was sniffing around the hallways under the Conservative banner. How many more Conservatives are in the House of Commons that think like a Liberal? Or vice versa? Your vote, what Chris's behavior shows you, that, hey, these laws are in favor for the government. They're not for the constituents. We can cross the floor anytime we want. We don't have to answer to our constituents. What that tells you is the laws are in place to benefit the under 400 people that sit in the House of Commons. It is not to your benefit. It is not for your representation. Your vote means jack shit in this country. If you stand up to the government, they'll freeze your bank accounts. They'll cast you out. They'll take you to court for the next decade. They'll ruin your life. You either sit back and let them run you over, or you stand up and take full advantage of the golden opportunity you've been given to get your way away from Confederacy and vote on behalf of independence. This is why I say Alberta's independence vote is the most crucial vote, even greater than Quebec's referendum in the 90s. If Alberta successfully leaves, it sets a precedent to other provinces that this country is truly broken, that there is no getting out of this. There's no voting your way out of this. The Conservative Party of Canada would effectively dissolve with Alberta's exit, and the writing would be on the wall to other provinces to either pack up and leave or do the same as Alberta by claiming their independence from a corrupt mob of government. You can see Chris Detremont has an interview recently where he fumbles on what he says, and we're going to watch that here. I just wanted to highlight the Western Standard. I almost said Northern Perspective. Northern does great work too. Shout out to them. So there's a double shout out. Western Standard does some great articles, but he's playing the victim. Poor old Chris plays the victim now. Oh, it's so bad that I crossed the floor. It's too bad that everybody kissed my butt and said, come on over. And people are mad. My constituents are angry. Don't call me a snake. I don't like those words. I want censorship in the House of Commons. Good friend of the channel, Bradshaw, tweeting out, oh, Chris is playing victim. He was called a snake and turned his back on his constituents. Chris, you are a snake, and you did turn your back on your constituents. Thing is, Chris, saying conservatives are mean, well, what the hell are the liberals? Take a jab or lose your job. Freeland froze people's bank accounts. Those liberals cheered. Liberals are stealing our money, and that's what you want to join. Seriously, you think the liberals love you? They don't. You're a vote, and you will be tossed. You're nothing but a traitor. Couldn't have said it better myself. Listen to him whining here and completely lying about Andrew Scheer bursting into his office and naysaying and calling him names and making him feel like a bad man. Tisk, tisk. Take a listen to this nonsense.
You said that what really clinched the decision for you was getting yelled at. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm sure when the political issue came out.
So first off the heck, watch his eyes. Watch his eyes. He's looking around. He's not directed straight at the camera because he's trying to think up of what he's going to say to play his victim card. He knows he's lying. Watch the eye movements.
Everybody had that on their phone by budget time. You know, I had the leader, the House leader and the whip barge into my office, push my assistant aside, rush in, push.
So right there, he implicates physical harm, assault. He pushed my assistant aside. And the interviewer says it again, push? He says, pushed. So if I were Andrew Scheer, if that is false, I would sue him at this point for defamation.
Take the door and just push it wide open. To sit there and, tell me how much of a snake I really was and turning my back on my constituents and the people that voted for me.
Because that's what you did.
And really underline the situation that I made this decision. This was not, it wasn't about, hey man, maybe you're not doing well. Maybe we've misunderstood what your objectives were. There was none of that. It was just, how dare you do that? How dare you? And it really pushed me to a point where it's like, okay, well, I guess my decision is made for sure now.
We have received a response from Pierre Poilievre's office to what Detremont said in that interview with us about pushing and yelling by Andrew Scheer and Chris Warkentin. That response reads in full. Chris Detremont, who established himself a liar after willfully deceiving his voters, friends, and colleagues because he was upset he didn't get his coveted deputy speaker role, is now spinning more lies after crossing the floor. He will fit in perfectly in the Liberal caucus. That statement.
So what a great statement to make. So little Chris upset because Andrew Scheer didn't say, well, best of luck. Sorry, we hurt your feelings. Sorry that, we didn't pat you on the bum and give you all the things you wanted. There. Instead, he's pissed off that I guess he doesn't, his victim card was denied. So he makes up lies about Andrew Scheer bursting into his office and pushing his assistants aside. And I know he says pushed open the door, but that was after he said he pushed his assistant. I definitely hope there's repercussions for those words. I think that words are important. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Are you worried that more conservatives are going to be crossing the floor if what Chris says is accurate? Do you believe Andrew Scheer shoved his assistant aside and burst into his office like like some kind of monster to scream at him, or do you think he just gave him his 2 cents and left? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I sure hope this video earns your subscription. Make sure you hit that button, folks. If you love being a conservative, hit that subscribe button. Join me live twice on the channel, twice weekly now. Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesday for Unhinged Fringe with my new co-host Matt. Fridays with the beautiful Mrs. Fringe on Friday Night Fringe, as we sit and talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos each and every week. I most importantly look forward to chatting with you this week starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.